Okay. Um, Hello and welcome to today's presentation. My name are Make Your Small Business More Accessible. This is a Grow with Google presentation presented by Abilene, America's SBDC at Texas Tech University here in Abilene, and Grow with Google. My name is Zell McGee, and I am an accredited small business consultant with America's SBDC at Texas Tech University here in Abilene. I am a proud Abilenian. I'm also a graduate of Hardin-Simmons University with a bachelor's degree in behavioral science and a master's degree in management. I'm excited to be bringing you this webinar today, and I'm glad that you could join us. The video we just saw showed just how much of an impact accessibility can make on a personal level. We will show you what it means to reach people. Sorry, I had to move my caption slides. What it means to reach people with disabilities as a small business owner. We'll go over best practices for making digital communications and physical stores accessible to all customers. And we'll show you why making these steps can be inclusive, and show why taking these steps to be inclusive is so important to your business. Man, having difficulty speaking today, I apologize. In today's workshop, we will discuss in our agenda, what we mean by accessibility, how to design a website with accessibility in mind, how to create emails that are easier to read and understand, physical accessibility for your stores or locations where you set up business at, and some tips that can help your business be more inclusive. So let's get started. To understand accessibility, you first need to understand the challenges that people with disabilities often face in their daily lives. Some disabilities are visible, others are not immediately apparent. But someone with any type of impairment may encounter barriers to completing certain tasks or activities. Accessibility ensures that people with disabilities can perceive, understand, navigate, and interact with the products, services, and tools available to anyone else. Often, this can be done with the help of assistive technology that break down those barriers. The World Health Organization estimates over 1 billion people worldwide live with some form of disability. That's 15% of the world's population and 1 in 4 adults here in the United States. That means over 25% of your potential customers here have a disability. Another thing to think about, if you or your customers don't have a disability now, you might in the future. It could be temporary, like an injury that requires you to use crutches, or something more permanent. Globally, people with disabilities have over $6 trillion in spending power. If your business isn't thoughtful about how you connect and communicate with these potential customers, you're missing out on a large group of people with significant resources. And that's where we get to building for accessibility. Building for accessibility means producing digital content that people with disabilities can perceive, understand, and navigate and interact with. It is about designing your business communications, products, and physical space in ways that allow people with disabilities to engage. People can't buy your products and services if they can't understand and engage with them. So building for accessibility is good for business, and since it expands your market. As a bonus, these tactics often improve the experience for all users. So how is that? Imagine a football game is playing on TV in a noisy bar. To improve the experience for people with disabilities, the bar owner might enable closed captions on the TV screen. Closed captions can help people with hearing impairment access the game commentary and access the content on that television. But in a noisy bar, closed captions can help everyone, hearing impairment or not. You'll see that many of the strategies we are going to review today benefit all users. And it's important to note that implementing these strategies can help you comply with rules and laws, lessening your company's legal risk. There are so many things that we can do to make existing digital content more accessible to those with disabilities. Let's take a closer look at universal design. Universal design means designing for everyone, whether they have a disability or not. Universal design can help those with and without disabilities better comprehend digital content. It includes many different techniques to help people comprehend digital content, including image descriptions, alt text, color contrast, design techniques, formatting, and video captions and transcripts. Let's explore each of these examples. Adding alternative text to images is a key principle of web accessibility. It is also one of the most difficult to properly implement. Let's start with a quick exercise. How would you describe this image? It's coffee, yes, but what else? Specifically, it's a white ceramic cup filled with black coffee on a saucer with a spoon. But with alt text, context is key. You should ask, what meaning is the image supposed to convey? Is there a reason to include that amount of detail in the description? Alternative text should represent the content in context and the function of the image. The key principle is that computers and screen readers cannot analyze an image and determine what the image presents or represents. Alternative text can be presented in two ways: within the alt attribute of the image element, or within the context or surroundings of the image itself. So back to the image of coffee, consider why it's on the web page. If its purpose is to help the user make a menu selection, coffee, then the alt text might simply be coffee. If the purpose of the image is to sell dinnerware, the alt text might be white ceramic cup and saucer. And if the purpose of this image was purely decorative, not adding any content or function, the alt text might actually just be blank. This is a big topic to unpack, so you can see why it's often not executed properly. There is a great resource article about alternative text on webaim.org. WebAIM stands for Web Accessibility in Mind, a nonprofit organization based at the Institute of Disability Research, Policy and Practice at Utah State University. To find the article, visit their website at webaim.org and search for alternative text. When you add an image into your website, you have two distinct ways for visitors to understand it: alt text and descriptions. Some of you out there might call these captions. Alt text, an abbreviation for alternative text, is a sort of behind-the-scenes label for an image on a website. Though it cannot be seen on the web page, it is picked up by screen readers. That means that a visually impaired person using a screen reader will hear the alt text description of the image read aloud, giving them a fuller understanding of the information on the page. Alt text also helps search engines properly categorize the content of websites, potentially improving the site's search engine optimization. Alt text is separate from descriptions. Descriptions are visible. They appear on the page with the image. Alt text does not. Without descriptions or alt text, a screen reader will miss that the image is part of the content. Now let's talk about using images in your communications. As mentioned, an unlabeled image will not be seen by a screen reader. The same is true for charts and graphs. Alt text should be added to charts and graphs, offering a short description of the graph or chart for the screen readers. In this case, there should also be a second description, a long description. This can either be a caption or a link to a page with detailed description. This is especially important for charts and complex information. The caption on this slide says, "With the addition of 5 new training spaces over the course of the last year, we are now able to accommodate more people." It's helpful, but it could go even further. Here's a more detailed, informative caption. The number of waitlisted students begins in Q4 2016 as over 80 and steadily drops to less than 40 by Q4 2017. The number of students classified as enrolled and attended rose over the same time period, reaching over 80 and 60 respectively. In that caption, you have highlighted the key points for your reader, and they can examine the graph more closely for greater insights. Think of your audience to determine what level of detail is required for the caption. Also, It may be helpful to provide data in an alternative format, such as a spreadsheet, since assistive technology can sort, view, and parse the tabular data. You can use the website coding to connect these descriptions with the associated image for the screen reader. If you want a tutorial, visit the World Wide Web Consortium W3C website at www.w3.org and search for complex images. Incidentally, the W3C has an initiative called WAI, Web Accessibility Initiative, dedicated to promoting a high degree of usability for people with disabilities. Color is an important tool for making your content accessible. Those with visual disabilities can see darker colors more clearly than lighter colors in general. But it's not just the colors. In making color choices for your content, it is important to take into consideration the contrast between background and text. The color should be dissimilar enough so text is readable. Here, we can see how contrast can affect readability. In the example on the left, the colors have low contrast, making the letters softer and muddier. Compare that to the higher contrast combination on the right, which lets the letters stand out sharply, increasing the readability. There are design standards for color contrast for regular sized and large font. You can learn more at W3C's website under the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines. While color is a powerful tool, relying only on color to indicate distinctions may leave behind the 300 million people who have color blindness. As an example, consider a traffic map that shows clogged routes in red and roads with good traffic flow in green. If someone can't distinguish between green and red, how will they know which route has less traffic? There are some design techniques that can help make it easier for people. First, think of color in terms of high contrast. Hue, which is light versus dark, saturation, which is the intensity of the color, and brightness. Use thick lines. You want to use various patterns of dashed lines. You don't want to assume color conveys a specific meaning. You also want to use textures to distinguish objects. You can add patterns or labels to ensure contrast in charts. And finally, don't forget to label elements like titles, legends, and X and Y axes. Here are some examples of these design techniques. We can get a sense of how high contrast, hue, saturation, and brightness works by translating this color chart into a grayscale format. See how the stronger hues on the color chart correlate to stronger grays. Remember that using contrasting colors can make letters and numbers pop. In the graph on the right, you can see how the different design elements we talked about improve readability. There are thicker lines, dashed lines in various patterns, and labeled elements like titles, legends, and X and Y axes. If you have ever scanned the headlines and subheads of an article or instruction book to quickly find what you are looking for, then you know how useful those bits of text can be. Assistive technologies allow readers to scan a document in this way also, by creating a list of all the headers. This list is generated based on the way your document is formatted. In this example, using Google Docs, the built-in text formatting tool organizes the headings within a document for all readers, from largest text at H1, which stands for heading 1, to the smallest text, which is H6, which stands for heading 6. Google Docs creates a document outline based on your header choices, while assistive technology gathers these elements into heading lists. This is similar in Microsoft Word. In this example, the screen reader has organized the headings into a list that allows the user to hear the headings in order. WebAIM surveyed screen reader users in 2019. Nearly 70% of the people polled said that they navigate content via headings like these. So correctly implementing headers will make a significant difference for users with disabilities. Now, let's take a look at formatting text links. Well-written text links set the user's expectations about where the link will take them if they click on it. Take the first example that's shown here. Visit the Grow with Google homepage for free training tools and resources to help you grow your skills, career, or business. When I see the link on the text, Grow with Google homepage, I assume that if I click this link, I will be taken to a homepage that discusses the Grow with Google program. Linking only the words, "this link," does not give me a clear idea of where I will land. Just as screen reader users can navigate a page by headings, they can also jump to all links within a page via link listing. Links that are not descriptive can cause confusion and make your site, document, or presentation difficult to navigate for screen reader users. Remember we discussed using closed captions on the football game on a TV earlier in the noisy bar, right? Well, that's not the only use for closed captioning. If you use videos for your business, perhaps on your website, you can add them here too. Captions and transcripts increase accessibility, and there are a few ways to create them. You can use automatic captioning, automatic transcripts, create your own captions, or have a knowledgeable vendor create captions for you. Let's take a look at the way automatic captioning works in different platforms, starting with YouTube. YouTube can use speech recognition technology to automatically create captions for most videos. Those captions are published with the video. Automatic captions are available in English, Dutch, French, German, Italian, Japanese, Korean, Portuguese, Russian, and Spanish. Auto-translate is available in the settings for even more languages. That's pretty easy, right? But it's important to note that while auto captions are a good start for making your videos and making your content more accessible, they are not a perfect substitute for human-created captions. You can learn more about YouTube subtitles and captions in the YouTube Help Center. Another video platform, Vimeo, allows users to toggle their auto captioning tool on and off when an event is live. This is very helpful if you have a wide range of audience participants. And if you ever watched a TED Talk online, you might have noticed the speech bubble icon on the video player. This opens a window to select a language for subtitles, which will play when the viewer returns to the video. Now, do you use TikTok? I know this is kind of one of those things that's probably on the outs because there's a lot of speculation about the security involved with the platform. But a lot of people do use this. I believe the current count is something like 2.5 billion users worldwide. TikTok has an auto captions feature that automatically generates captions for videos that have sound or voices. Creators have the option to toggle this feature on or off. So if you use TikTok, this is a powerful feature for you. Some other platforms offer video transcripts too. In YouTube, you can view an automatic transcript with or without timestamps. Transcripts can also be uploaded to create the video captions for you. Here's a quick YouTube tip. You can ensure that all of your video caption text is accurate by starting with the automatic transcript editing if necessary, and then uploading it. You can learn more in the YouTube Help Center by searching for the section titled Add Subtitles and Captions. PDF documents often require more thought and effort to make accessible. Complex PDFs with images and diagrams are generally not accessible through assistive technology. But even text-only PDFs can be difficult for assistive technology to interpret. If you use PDFs, use the tagging/remediation software provided by Adobe to add accessibility. Visit Adobe's accessibility information at www.adobe.com/accessibility. Okay, let's talk about how you can make your email communications accessible. There are a number of clear best practices to use an email campaign to ensure it is accessible to all. Think about these steps when you are creating your email. The text should be arranged in a logical order for readability, of course. Screen readers and other commonly used assistive technology scan text from left to right and top to bottom. With that in mind, keep text in a single column. One column layouts streamline content and help reinforce how the text is read. Sticking with this simple format also lessens likelihood of sensory overload and confusion for users. Make the purpose of hyperlink text clear. Avoid calls to action like learn more, get started, and click here. They are too vague. Avoid emojis in the email subject line and when conveying critical information. Emojis can be difficult for users who are visually impaired to interpret. Also, different operating systems may translate emojis differently while using a screen reader. This can result in misunderstanding critical information. You want to maintain a 60-40 text-to-image ratio. Too much text or too many images can make navigation difficult. Avoid overusing links, even if they're clearly labeled. Too many hyperlinks can lead to a poor reading experience. You want to maintain a minimum 14-point font size in your email body. Anything smaller can be difficult to read. Footers, disclaimers, terms and conditions can be smaller. You want to maintain good contrast ratios in your emails. Avoid visual cues based on color. Remember that 300 million people experience color blindness, so underline or bold hyperlinked text instead of color coding. And if your email includes a video, be sure to include closed captioning, especially if the video includes critical information or instructions. If you want more information about any of these suggestions, check out the W3C's Web Content Accessibility Guidelines. So far, we focused on accessibility considerations for online. Let's switch gears now for a moment and talk about accessibility in your physical business space. Take a moment to think about your business's physical space and assess if it will work with all potential customers in mind. Your noise in your space, what's the noise level? Okay, can you make adjustments for the hearing impaired? What obstacles may exist in the space? Is the space easy to navigate, particularly for those with visual or motor impairments, like wheelchair users or walker users or canes, or even people that have service animals? What's the access like? Is there an elevator for people that have a disability for going upstairs or are in a wheelchair or some mobile device? Is there a wheelchair accessible entrance and parking lot? Are you compliant with regulations and laws? Do your counters and doorways comply with the American with Disabilities Act, ADA regulations? You also want to take another step. In online listings and on your website, include applicable information to help people know what to expect. Do you welcome service animals? Some places do not. Although by law, you are obliged to, you pretty much have to, at least if they're true service animals. The personal assistance animals, the comfort animals, you don't have to allow them in your store because they serve no purpose. And that's not really an ADA compliant thing. You also want to make sure that you're ADA compliant. If you want to know if you're ADA compliant, contact the local city zoning and planning. They will do an assessment for you and let you know. Does the building have wheelchair accessible entrance? That is pretty mandatory for every business now. You want to let your potential new customers know how your business meets their needs so that they won't be surprised when they get there and they'll have a more pleasurable experience. In the end, accessibility is really about respecting the needs of others and understanding the challenges they may face. So I want to close this session by offering a few thoughts on what it means to be inclusive when you interact with somebody who has disabilities. Don't make assumptions. Many disabilities are invisible or hidden, including some physical disabilities or mental health conditions. You want to speak normally. Avoid over-enunciating or slowing your speech or speaking loudly unless you are asked to do so. And it's okay to use pleasantries like "see you later," even if you meet a person who has a visual impairment. You just want to think about the sensitivity of it. Another good rule of thumb, if you aren't sure, ask. Ask before offering assistance. The person may refuse the offer, but it's okay to ask. Respect an individual's request and personal space. For example, someone may ask you to write directions because they prefer them to verbal instructions. Try to accommodate requests when you can. If a person uses a wheelchair, crutches, or cane, treat those items as part of their personal space. If you'd like to learn more about accessibility, we've listed a few resources for you on this slide. You can learn about ADA accessibility standards, ADA accessibility primer for small businesses, which will help you get your business ready. You definitely want to read up on the Americans with Disabilities Act small business guide, which is going to help you understand what you need to do as a small business owner. There's also Google's accessibility resources, which will help you with online content. And then we have the W3C's business case for accessibility, and of course, the web content accessibility guidelines that they have, as well as the web and contrast checker. And then lastly, the last three links pertain to Adobe, which help you to understand how to get Adobe ready for accessibility for the visually impaired and physically impaired. And this concludes our discussion today about making your business more accessible for people with disabilities. I would like to thank you for attending this webinar presentation. It's a big topic with a lot of considerations. There's a lot of different things that you may have to take into account for to make your business more accessible to people with disabilities. America's SBDC, we truly value your feedback, and if you'd like to provide feedback directly to Google on how this presentation was, you can do that through the link that's showing on the screen, also through the QR code that's there. Thank you again for attending. And if there are any questions, I would open the floor for questions at this time, and you can type them into chat or you can unmute yourself. And I'll be happy to take your questions because this actually went a lot faster than what I was anticipating. Thought I was going to speak for 45 minutes, but I guess I must have been speaking fast today. So does anybody have any questions at this time?
Thank you.
Oh, you're quite welcome. I appreciate you attending the webinar, and I hope that you receive some valuable information that you'll be able to use in your business.
Awesome. And this is being recorded. Will we be able to watch this later?
It is being recorded. It will be made available in a couple of days because it takes me a little while to get these ready. I have to send them for approval before I can get them posted on our website. On our YouTube channel. I'm not allowed to directly post to it. It has to be reviewed. So it takes a couple of days. So it will be made available. It should be there by the end of the week.
That would be great.
Okay.
Awesome.
All right. But thank you for attending. And we do have more training opportunities coming up. The QR link that is listed on here will link to our workshops page on our webpage. And if you would like to sign up for future webinars or in-person events, please feel free to do so. Thank you for attending, and I hope you have a wonderful day.